Trouble Funk, what it do?
What's up, man? What's up? Happy New Year to you, man.
Happy New Year, man. We inside 2018, man.
Yeah, man.
Already.
Right.
MW, One Stop's Crown Legends presents Trouble Funk, the funk that raised hell and rocked D.C. The information for this story comes from the internet and may not be accurate. Yo, what's good, my people? Before we kick off this funky ride, let me say this from the jump. Thank you to my loyal subscribers, my day ones, the ones who like, comment, and keep this channel alive like the streets on a hot DC summer night. Hit that like, smash that subscribe, and turn them notifications on, cause this one right here, we're about to get loud. This ain't no fairy tale. This is the story of a crew that brought thunder to the nation's capital and turned rhythm into revolution. This is Trouble Funk, baby. The go-go gods of DC. The kings who made the block bounce before the radio even knew what was happening. Welcome to Chocolate City. It's the late 1970s. Washington, D.C. got two faces. One polished for the politicians, and the other grimy, loud, and alive with soul. See, during the day, you had suits walking down Pennsylvania Avenue. But when the sun dipped low, the real D.C. came out. You could hear it before you saw it. That boom clap, that conga roll, that heartbeat that made the block tremble. That was go-go. Not just music, a language. A way for the people to talk back when nobody was listening. Out of that concrete jungle rose a group of dudes who didn't just want to play music. They wanted to shake the city to its bones. Enter Big Tony Fisher, a man who could play bass like it owed him money. He linked up with cats like Emmett Nixon on drums, James Avery on keys, and a rotating crew of go-go soldiers ready to start a riot of rhythm. They called themselves Trouble Funk, and from day one, that name fit like a fist. Building the beast. Before the fame, before the records, before the Sugar Hill deal, it was all sweat and grind, and these dudes weren't chilling in no fancy studio. Nah, they were setting up in high school gyms, rec centers, and backyard parties where the walls dripped with humidity and the people came to move. The streets didn't care about charts. They cared about the groove. Trouble Funk gave them that in doses too heavy to handle. They had this sound that felt alive, drums popping like gunfire, bass lines crawling under your skin, and the crowd chanting back every word. It was like church and chaos got married and had a baby named Funk. Their early jams like E-flat boogie and Get Down with Your Get Down were pure energy. No rules, no radio edits, no filters, just that raw go-go power straight from the soul. Drop the bomb. 1982. That's when Trouble Funk made their mark for real. They dropped an album so heavy, it might as well have come with a warning label. Drop the Bomb wasn't just a record, it was an explosion. The title track hit like dynamite. Congas rattled, bass slapped, horns screamed, and that chant, man, that chant. It sounded like DC itself was talking. They didn't care about pop formulas. Every song stretched and pulsed like it was alive. The crowd wasn't just listening, they were the music, and that was the secret. Go-go wasn't about separation between artist and fan, it was a conversation. You call, they answer. You shout, they echo. Drop the Bomb, put them on the map. New York caught wind, Philly followed, and even the overseas cats started catching that groove. But here's the kicker. Trouble Funk didn't change who they were. They didn't chase radio play. They said, if you want the funk, come get it where we live it. The stage is a war zone. By 83, these dudes weren't just a band. They were a force. Trouble Funk Live was an experience that words barely covered. The crowd ain't stand around nodding. Nah, you danced, you shouted, you participated. They dropped Saturday Night Live, a live album that felt like somebody bottled a DC block party and set it on fire. The mic man hyped the crowd like preachers. The percussion hit like a stampede, and every note screamed homegrown pride. They didn't play to impress the industry. They played to move the people. They toured with punk bands like The Clash, heavy rock rockers like Fishbone and wild funk legends like Rick James. They could walk into any room, any crowd, any sound, and still steal the show. Because Trouble Funk wasn't trying to fit in, they were making the world fit them. The hard times hit, but you know how it goes. The industry don't know what to do with something they can't label. Go-go wasn't disco, wasn't R&B, wasn't hip-hop. It was all of that and none of it. And when record execs couldn't box it up and sell it neatly, they turned their backs. Meanwhile, hip-hop was exploding. Rappers were sampling Trouble Funk's beats, flipping their grooves into hits and making millions. Cats like Public Enemy, LL Cool J, and even Beastie Boys built off that go-go foundation. Trouble Funk inspired a generation, but the world didn't always give them credit. Yet Big Tony never folded. Dude kept the crew rolling, playing show after show, city after city. They didn't need validation from Billboard, they had the streets. The sound that never died. See, that's the thing about Trouble Funk. They outlasted trends. When disco died, they kept playing. When hip-hop rose, they adapted. When New Jack Swing came and went, they were still here. Their sound was timeless. It belonged to D.C., but it spoke to everybody who ever loved real rhythm. Their shows became rituals. Folks came to sweat, to shout, to reconnect with that tribal energy that modern music had lost. Even when the radio forgot them, D.C. never did. The fans stayed loyal, passing the music down to their kids. In neighborhoods where the government forgot the people, Trouble Funk reminded them they still had something of their own. The beat. The comeback kings. Years later, when the internet started reviving old school sound, people started rediscovering go-go. Suddenly, that Trouble Funk catalog started getting the love it always deserved. Drop the Bomb, Pump Me Up, So Early in the Morning. These joints started popping up in DJ sets, hip-hop samples, commercials, even video games. And when Trouble Funk stepped back on stage, they still had it. Big Tony's bass still thumped like thunder. The drums still rolled like a freight train. They didn't sound nostalgic, they sounded necessary. Because no matter how far music travels, it always circles back to its roots. And Trouble Funk is one of those roots. Respect the legacy. DC owes them more than plaques and awards. Trouble Funk gave the city its soundtrack. Before mumble rap, before trap beats, before synth pop, there was the raw groove of congas and bass coming from a sweaty club in Southeast DC. That's where the real history lives. You talk to any true DC native, they'll tell you. Go-go isn't just a genre, it's a lifestyle. And Trouble Funk, they're the architects. They built that stage brick by brick, beat by beat. The motivation. Now here's the message, fam. The lesson behind all this rhythm and grind. These dudes came from a city that didn't have no major labels, no rich backers, no easy routes. They took whatever gear they had, whatever block they could find, and made something that's still echoing decades later. That's hustle, that's faith, that's legacy. Trouble Funk proved that you don't need approval to be great. You just need consistency and heart. You don't quit when the fame dips. You double down. So whether you're chasing dreams in music, business, or life, keep that go-go mentality. Keep the rhythm alive. Because when the beat stops, that's when you stop moving. And we ain't built to stop. The final beat. The lights dim, the crowd's chanting. You can hear Big Tony's bass hum low. That slow rumble rising from the speakers. The band locks in, drums, horns, shouts, and suddenly the whole place comes alive like it's 1982 again. That's the power of music that comes from truth. It don't age, it don't fade, it just evolves. So here's to the band that made DC move. To the men who turned rhythm into resistance. To the legends who never gave up even when the world looked away. This is Trouble Funk. And this is MW One Stop's Crown Legends. Thank you to my subscribers. Y'all know what to do. If you vibe with this story, hit that like, drop a comment, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next legend we crown. Stay funky, stay real, stay legendary. MW One Stop out.